Over the past 3 years, the Kaduna-Abuja train service has been witnessing increased passenger traffic due to the spate of attacks by bandits on the Kaduna-Abuja highway. But in recent times, there's been reports of attempted attacks on trains plying the route by suspected bandits, though no casualties have been recorded. On Wednesday night, a passenger train from Abuja to Kaduna was almost forced to derail after the rail line was cut off following an explosion. The incident, which occurred at the Regina area in Kaduna, also sent fear and panic to the passengers. One of the passengers narrates that a 2-hour journey took 6 hours.
We left Abuja around 7 p.m. on Wednesday, and just approaching Kaduna, about 40 kilometers to Kaduna, between Regina and a village called Dutse. And then we had a loud sound, bam! And suddenly the train started moving slowly, and then it came to abrupt stop. And from there, we've not had anything from the officials until after 4 hours. And then another train came forward, a locomotive came and pushed us gradually. It took us 2 hours to get to Kaduna from that point.
Meanwhile, daily activities at the Rigasa train station in Kaduna State were suspended on Thursday following the incident. Some of the passengers who had earlier booked their tickets online to Abuja were stranded when they got to the station.
The news we are hearing is that either the rail line is vandalized or there is an attack on the rail, a terrorist attack on the rail line. But from the operators of this commission, nobody has addressed anybody. And if you came here about 2 hours ago, you see a lot of people, but now people are leaving one after the other.
I've been here since 9:15 a.m. this morning. Supposed to go with the 10:35 a.m. train to Abuja. So before it was 10:35, they gave us an update that the train has technical issues, so we should hold on, and when they get any information, because the network is bad, they'll get back to us to keep our tickets safe.
The rise in insecurity on the Kaduna-Abuja highway forced many to abandon the road for the train service, increasing the daily volume of passengers by over 270%. But with the recent development on the rail lines, the authorities may have to do more to assure passengers of their safety.
Now let's get the show started. On Wednesday, the news broke that suspected bandits destroyed a portion of the Abuja-Kaduna rail track with explosives, forcing a disruption of train services on the route. Well, the Nigerian Railway Corporation confirmed and said that explosive damaged the rail track at a spot between Dutse and Regina, an area that had recorded numerous bandits attacks along this Kaduna-Abuja highway. So it is the same area where people who were even on the roads were attacked. So how is it that our security people were not aware that even the rail was in danger at that particular location? These and many more questions we're going to look for answers to this morning with our panel consisting of Professor Charles Asenime, who is the Dean of the School of Transport and Logistics at the Lagos State University. Good morning, Prof.
Thank you very much, sir.
We also have a security expert joining us via Zoom, Colonel Yomi Dari, retired. Good morning, Colonel.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to everyone in the studio. Good morning, Nigerians. Very pleased to be here today. Thank you.
We also expect another security expert, Mr. Oladende Ario. I'm sure he's stuck in traffic out there because the traffic on the expressway this morning is as they say, it no get part 2.
Or, as they say, Itai Rapa.
Itai Rapa. Itai Rapa. So, Professor.
Yes, ma'am.
Maybe you got a few more details from that report which we played just now.
Yeah.
Now, so that particular part of the highway and the railway is, should I use the word notorious?
It is.
So how come this happened?
Well, it could happen because we are still in the space called Nigeria where insecurity is high. Now that Abuja traffic corridor, Abuja-Kaduna traffic corridor has been notorious for attacks. Before this time, it was...
whether by rail or by road?
By road, rail, even those walking on the road. Before this time, it was potholes we were experiencing. Later, the federal government resurfaced the road, dualized it properly, and it was okay. So people passed. But when this banditry thing increased, the attacks... transport is a soft target. You go for people who are not armed, who are defenseless. You attack them, pick whatever they want to pick. Now, they've seen that the traffic of passengers on that road, using road, has kind of decreased a bit. Now it's rail. Everybody's going on the rail because it's safer, more comfortable. Then they now decide to attack the rail. I think what they're just trying to do, apart from the attack, is to put fear in people. So that if they don't use the rail again, maybe they'll go back to the road. Or just stop commuting between Kaduna and Abuja. But it's not possible. So it happens everywhere. But this just, it's not actually the first time. The Itakpe Warri rail was vandalized. So what is there's no difference between putting a bomb there and the vandalization that took place in the Warri Itakpe rail. Because if the train had not stopped, many people would have died if the train had gone off the track. So they are all attacks. Whether it is vandalization or banditry, they are the same thing.
Now, Colonel, maybe this requires some kind of special skills. How do you think we can secure the rail system nationwide?
Very much. I honestly, our case is really worrisome. Worrisome in the sense that we're all aware we've had red flags. First, Kaduna-Abuja road became a no-go area in spite of all efforts, including deploying military on that road. And then the rail line came, okay? And everybody turned onto the red line. We have had cases where there has been threats, sometimes cattle even on the rail line between Kaduna and Abuja, okay? Now, it behoves on common sense. It's just very common that we need to secure this rail line. And how do we secure this? We can deploy, cameras to cover these rail lines, or even deploy drones, or even deploy helicopters to cover this movement. You recall the cases we had in the Niger Delta, where we had incessant, explosions, blowing up of the pipeline. And at the end of the day, I think we were able to find some solutions whereby if there was any leakage or any tampering along, the pipelines, the authorities, they get to know about it. So one expects that, especially with the wave or the incessant cases of insecurity, of terrorist activities, so it behoves on common sense. It's just so common, that we do this thing. Honestly, I think, the major problem we have is corruption. Otherwise, we have spent billions of foreign money, of money we borrowed to build these rail lines. And then to just secure these rail lines, it becomes a problem. I think we really need to check our psyche in this country. Because, intelligence has it. This period, both the aviation, all forms, our roads, our rail lines, even the waterways, it is expected that we monitor them seriously. So for me, it is not far-fetched. It is not a big deal. What does it cost us? to cover these roads. Apart from covering the rail lines with CCTV cameras, drones, and helicopters, even inside the cabins themselves, CCTV cameras should be there, because you can have terrorists, embedded, in the passengers. So I think there's need for us to wake up.
The issue of intelligence that I wanted to take you up on, because I was saying, and I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again, I cannot imagine that with all the investments in our security apparatus, in all the investment of government in our security officials, security operatives, the individuals, the personnel that we have in the intelligence community in particular, I cannot believe that it'll come to us as a shock. I believe that we would know, and I think you have also referenced it, especially given what is also in that report, that that particular area is notorious for activities of banditry. But then, of course, we also heard the Nigeria Railway Corporation saying, look, as far as they are concerned, it's a job of miscreants, not insurgents, not bandits, not terrorists, and all of that. Is there any way, given the intelligence that I believe, I do not have proof of it, but I just believe that we have extremely intelligent people in the intelligence community in Nigeria, could we have been able to prevent this? And is there anything we need to do, against the backdrop of what Alero said earlier, to ensure that this doesn't happen again, given all the investments, as you said, that we have made in this particular sector of our transport system?
Yes, Ayo, honestly, just like you said, I mean, as it stands, almost all of us, we have one or two things to say about security. It is not rocket science. It is not rocket science. Like you alluded, we have very, very brilliant people in our security sector here. What stops us? For example, once the train is on motion between between Abuja and Kaduna, or vice versa, let there be coverage of their tracks. Worst case scenario, you deploy helicopters to move along with these trains. And aside that, like I said, even drones can also cover their movement. And then along the rail, the railways too, you have control rooms wherein if anything untoward is observed, it can be reported. I cannot imagine. Look at these poor passengers. They were there for 4 hours. For 4 hours before help even came. At the end of the day, a locomotion came to tow them, and it took the locomotion 2 hours to tow them to Kaduna. So you can imagine, I mean, you could have cases, so many cases, so many things could have happened. I'm sure that if we even look deeply into this, maybe we must have recorded, some casualties in terms of loss of lives. Probably due to health condition or due to some phobic actions. So like I opined, it's not something that is so difficult for us. But I make bold to tell you that our major problem here is corruption, because we can afford this. We can afford it.
Let me ask Prof this particular question. You are in this sector, or at least you are an academic in this sector, so perhaps sometimes some of these things are just too much talk, and maybe there are some practical things that we should have done or we should do going forward. What are some of those, and I'm sure you may want to react to a thing or two that Colonel also said, but what are some of those things that you think we should engage, especially in this sector? We're talking about the entire transport system value chain, but for this one particularly, what do you think is a lacuna that we need to quickly fill?
Well, I think some of the lacuna has been mentioned by the Colonel. We don't just seem to be serious about things. I mean, we built this big infrastructure. The Abuja-Kaduna rail corridor, or the traffic corridor, is one of the busiest in terms of traffic movement in the country, apart from the Lagos-Ibadan axis to Benin. So if we have the infrastructure, we should be able to get security on it. Now look at what happened in the Niger Delta that you mentioned too, when pipelines were being blown up here and there. they have a way, they devised a way to ensure that the pipelines are safe. They put cameras, the pigging system, and everything. So, and the pipeline is even more complex than what we have. This is just surface rail that can be covered by cameras, that can be covered by, even there can be patrols there. They are not miscreants, the people that did it. This is terrorism, it's act of terrorism.
Yes, I was going to ask Kanodari if miscreants have
can
knowledge
do
of
explosives
and all that.
They're not miscreants, these are terrorists. What they want to do is to kill people, to rob people, because to blow that, the lines are not just ordinary metal, they are heavy steel. So for you to blow it up, you must have very big explosive, and miscreants don't do that. These are terrorist activities. Even the bandits, they call bandits, they are terrorists. I mean, you don't just go about blowing rail lines. What do you want to achieve? There must be something they want to achieve which has not come out to the open. But coming to talk about transport and crime, or transport-related crime, it happens both on road, you know. We will talk about that later. But these people here that did this, they are not miscreants.
On the same issue, yes. Is it a global, is this something of global standard to put security apparatus on transport routes, such as rail tracks in particular, given that what we're talking about? Or is it just peculiar because we have a security challenge? No,
it's global standard. If you even travel the Baltimore, all those corridors by the east side in America, those rail lines are covered. If you travel even on road, from if you're going from London, if you're going to Manchester, you will see cameras all the way. It's covered. So it's not peculiar to Nigeria, but it becomes more worrisome because of the particular situation we find ourselves. Every day we hear of bandits. There's no day you tune the television stations or any station that you don't hear 10 killed, 30 killed is every day. So it becomes more peculiar. And if we don't stop it now, they'll be more emboldened to attack other rail lines. Remember, the Kaduna-Abuja is not the only rail line. Because the peculiarity of that place, because many people want to move from Abuja to Kaduna. It's not the only rail line. They can keep attacking. If we leave this one on, they must go after those who did those things and get them. I don't even know why we keep playing games with people like that. There's some countries you do that, they execute you. Because you are going to kill people too. Yeah. So it's not something we just pamper and just, okay, it's just one of those attacks. It's not just one of those attacks.
Given that
sabotage.
It's sabotage, big time, both economic and human, it's sabotage. Okay.
Let me ask Colonel Dari, because I don't want to put you on the spot being a security thing. Given that, Colonel, that this issue of this particular case on our hands is not happening for the first time in that area from what we have gathered. It is something that's been on. It's an area notorious for such activities. Is there any way of assuming or alluding to the fact that maybe there is some complicity with the communities, or that the communities could have done some good by giving information to security operatives?
Well, thank you very much, Ayo. I think that's a very, very important question you have raised here. You recall when the road became so bad, so notorious, so impassable for people, it was suspected that the communities along that road, along the axis of Kaduna Abuja Road, were kind of compromising and collaborating with the criminals to perpetuate all the crimes on that road. And it was even suggested that they should be raided and, if possible, relocate them, from those spots, But nothing has been done. Nothing has been done. The same way, of course, anywhere you have a road, whether railroad or road itself, I mean, anywhere you have passage of people, communities will move in there because it's an opportunity, it's an avenue for them to trade and make some money. So definitely you cannot rule out this. But the point right here is that we must be proactive. We must step up intelligence. We must be able to identify the people that are involved. We must be able to do that. And this is not too much for us to do. But the point is that we are just so laid back, we are so complacent, and it's just business as usual until something happens, and then we'll start running helter-skelter. You know, I mean, look at what happened, the Warri Itakpe Road. You know, Warri Itakpe Road, people were arrested. In fact, some foreigners were even amongst those that were arrested. But as we speak, no one has had anything. I don't know whether you have heard, but I haven't heard anything. What has become of this? You know, nobody has said. So these are the things that even give muzzle, you know, to criminals to go ahead to continue to perpetuate their crimes. And like the prof said, and I have said it severally, even on this platform and so many other platforms, you call them bandits, you call them mere miscreants. What are we talking about? Mere miscreants, toying with the lives of people, you know, killing people. These are terrorists. As far as I'm concerned, they should be prosecuted, you know, I mean, these are just simple acts of terrorism, nothing more. Thank you.
Taking it from the angle which Ayo took it now about the community, now that community policing has been approved, so to speak, all over the country, are we expecting to see better behavior from those communities where these things are happening?
Well, honestly, I think this is one of the myths of the community policing that we're talking about. But right now, approval is just on paper. We haven't seen anything, you know, practical. We haven't seen it in practice. And the earlier we start this community policing, the better for us. The better for us, because everyone will be involved. All the community heads, all the ward heads, they will be involved in security.
Okay.
Okay.
But, Prof, still on the communities, and I'm speaking from your own perspective, some research, theories and all. What kind of responsibility would communities that through which transportation facilities pass, roads, rails, what are the responsibilities that they have in the scheme of things, the communities?
Yeah, if you look at, thank you very much, Ayo. If you look at transport and development, when the transport infrastructure passes through a community, the community develops. You look at the Ore road area, that express was not originally inside the town. No, it was inside the town. They now relocated outside the town, like bypassing the town. The town now grew to meet the express. The Benin bypass is doing the same thing right now. The city of Benin is growing to meet the express. So if a rail infrastructure or any infrastructure at all passes through your community, it is your responsibility as a community to ensure that it is safe. Because if you don't preserve it, if you don't get it safe, you will not be able to do business. Now, Ore is known, if you're traveling from Onitsha, they'll say, we'll eat at Ore. Becomes very popular. Right. Because Ore has gone to meet the town. So, but if Ore is not safe, people will not eat there. So the community has a responsibility to ensure that that infrastructure that passes through their community, they should keep it safe.
What is there a role for government in carrying the people along in that regard? Because, you know, people may not know. Don't also forget, I'm sorry, it's security related, but yes, don't also forget that there have been cases where people say, look, if we speak to the authorities, these criminals are going to come for us.
Yes, they do.
So where do the communities land then? So it's like they are between the devil and the deep blue sea.
The community is bigger than the criminals. Because sometimes you see most of the criminals, they live in the communities too. They are part of the communities. They know them. The community is bigger than the criminals. All the criminals in Nigeria cannot be bigger than Nigeria as a country. If we just wake up to do what we're supposed to do. He said something about corruption. You hide criminals in your community because the little thing you can get. When the pipelines were being vandalized and the government decided to bring a formula, okay, you community people, we are giving you the contract to ensure that the pipelines will not be vandalized. Didn't it stop? It stopped. So we can do the same thing for the roads too. If a road passes through a community and that place is being attacked all the time, we look at the community.
So essentially, you are saying let's vote some money for security for our infrastructure.
Yes, of course, there should be money for security for the infrastructure, because if you don't have it, if you have a road, if you have, okay, look at the airport, for instance. We have invested massively in scanning. You are going in now, they know what you're carrying. Unlike before, they'll just search you gradually. So, God, what do you have for us? We have gone beyond that now. When that gentleman, the Nigerian who tried to bring down an American airline, he was found out. Mutalab. I think he's screening his body somewhere in jail. Yeah. Imagine if there were no sophisticated equipment to even know that he's carrying something on the. You know, he has already beaten the first security. But after that, security was raised. The bar was raised to ensure that even if you're carrying your bag, they ask you to remove your shoe. I sympathize with those who go to the airport. Maybe wear a lace-up shoe. You start unlacing it, you start just simple dress.
It's the reason I don't like lace-up.
I don't like lace-up. When I'm traveling, I like going. I like all my. The time I traveled through Turkey, I just had my phone on me. Every time I'm playing, they were surprised how can Nigerian travel without it. They came to snap me 10 times, but that is their business. But you know, there should be an investment in security, and it's not just because this thing just happened. If you look at transport and security generally, on road, they hijack buses on the road, kill passengers, take them, they kidnap the people. They even they can molest women even inside the bus. I was thinking one day, you know about this one chance thing. I was taking from Ilukpeju around 7 p.m. I had just 200 naira and I was going home. So suddenly I would take me home. They just called the bus, I entered the bus. They took me to Sule in the night. They kept me there. I was not asking them, what are we doing? They said I should keep quiet. Maybe they are waiting for arms. After a while, I started sleeping. They guys, they kidnap you and you are sleeping. You are not serious. So what do you want me to do? Later, they released me. They took my 200 naira and beat me for having only 200 naira, as if it's a crime. So I had to trek all the way from that place. I didn't even know where I was. Anywhere I see road, I just trek until the police patrol gave me lift and asked, what you cast? I said, where are you coming from? If I told them where I was coming from, maybe they would have taken me away again to start giving statement for something I don't know. So they dropped me at Pangrove and they let me go. So these things are not, it's not new. It happens on road, the waterways, look at the Gulf of Guinea, piracy, they hijack ships and everything. So it's not new. Even even pedestrians, you are walking on the way, a pedestrian will attack a pedestrian. I always tell people, if you live in an informal settlement, like places that are not too formalized, don't walk in the night because you can get kidnapped. Such things are not so easy in a highbrow or a formalized area. But it happens on pedestrians, on walkways. It happens on water. They hijack people on water. They even use boats. You remember there was a time they used boat to rob a bank. I don't know the bank, somewhere in Victoria Island.
Yes. They escaped by boat.
They escaped by boat. So they use boats to carry petroleum products, to smuggle. So it cuts across all modes.
Prof, let's look at the hapless traveler. Nigeria is complaining about the heavy traffic on its roads, which is why it is now investing in the rail system to get more traffic, to get some of that traffic off the roads, to preserve our roads. Now people are using the railroad, which we have spent plenty of money to construct. This is happening. So you can't use the road, because if you use the road, they probably stop you and kidnap you anyway. They don't kidnap you, the road is too bad, you kill yourself driving.
Can happen.
You go on the rail. Now they're bombing the railroads. So what does the hapless Nigerian do? How does he travel? Or is he not supposed to travel anymore?
People, one of the biggest cause of poverty is when you are fixed in your geographical area. You cannot move because you don't have money to move. So what it will boil down to is that the poverty will increase. People cannot move to do the little they can do. Now people want to travel. They can't travel by road because the roads are bad, or because they get kidnapped or they get killed on the road. Now they try going by rail. This has just happened. You can't go by air either because it's like it is becoming the preserve of the rich. I mean, a one-way ticket costs, I think it's about 45 to 50, depends on when you get your ticket. Sometimes you get to the airport and you are just buying, you can pay as much as 120,000. You remember Professor Abuja,
1 hour?
Yes. He paid, there was a time he was at the airport, he paid about 120,000 because he was traveling that day. So at the end of the day, what they are telling those who cannot afford air is that we should not travel again. And the moment people cannot live where they are geographically to move to other places to get a source of living, then the poverty will increase. So government has to increase security on the road. Before, we used to have highway patrols, remember? Those that look like British police. They used to be on the road. But somehow what we just have now is just checkpoints.
Incidentally, we still have, I still see them occasionally.
Just patrolling. But we have checkpoints. Maybe the checkpoints, I don't mind spending so much time on the road to get...
points.
Oh, wow, if you call it that. I don't mind spending so much time on the road to get there safely, rather than not getting there at all. So the checkpoints, government should put more, and we should be more sophisticated in securing the roads. He mentioned, the colonel mentioned drones, right? A drone they can have them, they don't fly very far, but it depends on the kind of drone anyway. We can have drones that can cover up to 20 kilometers. They can pick it up from there until the entire road is covered, or cameras that can pick some kilometers. If you watch some videos, you see where accidents happen, maybe in developed countries, they capture it on camera. That means the camera is there, watching the road. So we should deploy that, not the type of cameras that they will put and tomorrow somebody climbs up and they carry the camera and they pull.
Well, Colonel, I don't know what you think of this. There's this thinking in Lagos of what they call a smart city. Essentially, and it's a project that's long-term. So many cameras all over the city of Lagos, such that many people don't even know that they're there. In terms of deploying security for transportation, first of all, do you agree? If you do, I assume you do, what kind of security deployment would you expect? Did we have them before? What happened to them? Stuff like that.
Again, thank you, Ayo. You see, with our growth and development, we are expected, to imbibe the culture of the latest technology in securing our communities and securing our environment generally. For example, in the past, it was business as usual, especially in the aviation sector. Before people even knew what was happening, people had a free passage for their drugs, through all those shops you find at the airports before you move in. They know the way they do it. But with awareness, those things had to be put in check. There's a limit to where you can move into now. And of course, the scanners. But one thing I want to say right now is that we seem to have taken things for granted. Even as we speak, the aviation industry in Nigeria is not well secured. It's not well secured. Once things happen, you see us adopting the fire brigade approach. And the moment, we go into a lull again. We must try as much as possible to sustain this. It is not out of the ordinary. It's something that we can afford. There's no big deal about it. The aviation industry, we need to properly, cover everywhere with CCTV cameras. Like you said, almost everywhere, some places in Lagos now, you find CCTV cameras. But who is monitoring these cameras? Are these cameras working? Where are the control rooms? Where are the control rooms? Apart from individuals who try to put cameras in their homes, and of course, they are able to monitor them on their phones, on their other devices. But for the public places, for the common man on the streets, who protects him? Someone standing at the bus stop. The camera, there must be CCTV covering, watching what is happening there. But these days, every day, every moment, you find people mocked, gagged, raped. At bus stops, you find those so-called one chance, just like the...
Just a second, Colonel. You've only raised more questions than answers right this moment, because, there are those who are asking the question, What in the universe happened to the security deployment of cameras in Abuja City? Don't answer that question yet. I think you have someone else.
We've since been joined by Mr. Oladende, Otumba Oladende Ario,
I like that.
a security expert.
Good morning. I
Good.
think I'm back again. You know, I keep telling you that nobody can lay claim to be an expert in security.
Okay.
Because the body of knowledge required will take about 8 lifetimes.
Okay, so how do we describe you?
Just say security practitioner.
Security practitioner. Okay. Now, I would like to take your perspective on reference the thing, the blowing up of the rail line between Kaduna and Abuja. Okay. How do you think we can secure our transport infrastructure? Your perspective.
Thank you very much. We can't take that in isolation because the dynamics of our security and insecurity, as we have them now, they keep changing. And they are changing because nothing significantly now, okay, is seen to have been done to put an end to the prior situations. I.e., it's like graduating from being a pickpocket into a full-blown armed robber. Yeah, because again...
I'm sorry, Mr. Rio. I'm befuddled
I will
by
explain.
the fact that I mean it's an unfortunate reality.
Yeah, but that's
there
the truth.
There are so many things that we could have done that we haven't done.
Absolutely.
For you, is there a game plan?
Everything seems joined together, and I will try and connect them. When you look at the fact that all over Nigeria, in different forests, along different roads, people get easily apprehended, kidnapped, ransom demanded, and they get paid. In more cases than, let's just say 90% of the cases,
get paid.
Even when the security says, oh, they went there, they rescued the person, the people still say, we paid. Okay? So to that extent, it became like a normal thing to do, a normal business that now generates more money than even armed robbery. And then because it's attached to threats, that's the critical thing. Don't forget that in kidnapping, you always will think of target kidnapping, where you have a reason for keeping somebody, maybe for political reasons or you want to take a revenge, but this is purely commercial. So there's no point targeting anybody. It's just random kidnapping. Exactly. Whoever they pick becomes a game. Because there's nobody here who doesn't have a relation somewhere, who cares about you.
But is that
when they get the phone calls and say, look, if you don't pay, so they will kill the person.
But
they create a panic.
Is there no concerted thinking? I'm not even talking about plan or effort now. Thinking to ensure that the lives and property of people are protected, because that is the primary responsibility of government. And government, we will always hear from the authorities that, look, we're doing a lot of things. Some of them we can't even say we're doing.
You see, we've said this over and over, and I'm going to say it again. We keep recycling criminals. How do you apprehend criminals or they surrender? Whether bandits, hoodlums, headsmen, call them whatever name. And then the first thing that occurs to you is to rehabilitate them. All over the world, the principle and the rule of the game, if you can do the crime, get ready to do the time.
Exactly.
But here, we pamper criminals. And I keep saying, you can't continue hugging criminals and expect things to get better. People now know that, oh, they can do this thing and get away with it.
Exactly.
And because of the sectional nature of all of these things, it becomes a lot more bad. Okay? Because I can't understand, even the victims of terrorism are neglected. And attention is now focused on so-called repentant criminals or terrorists. It doesn't work that way. Besides, we now started playing with games, with the words. From terrorists, we now had bandits, we now had hoodlums and all of that. For as long as they have a common thread among them, that is crime. For me, they are all terrorists. They all kill, they all maim, they all rape, they all extort, they all destroy their lives and properties. They destroy what people have spent their years to gather. So that gives people the new or the fresh impetus, okay, to continue. We've had that some of those people who are so-called repented, I mean, they have been they went back again.
Okay, now let me. The gentleman before you have spoken a lot about a number of things, especially as concerning the transport sector. Prof here was talking about insecurity on the waterways, and there are a number of people who would always reference what happens to them when they travel between Port Harcourt and Bonny Island,
Right.
and the issue, the question there for me is it so intractable that we can't nip? My colleague would say it's no longer a bird now, it's a full-blown flower.
We may not be able to eliminate insecurity 100%. We've always had pockets of robberies here and there, but not at the large scale that it has now become a phenomenon. So that there is no day you will wake up in Nigeria today, you won't read about killings, mass killings.
Responsible for that?
I just told you one now. Impunity, because people now know that they can do this and get away. Again, the security system too is compromised.
In what way?
There are criminals that have been apprehended. If they pay the right price, they get released. Some get to position level.
Do you have this on good authority?
After investigation, they are
Do you
taken
have
to
this on good authority?
But these are things we read about in papers every day. They get to the court, the lawyer gets them released on bail. And before you know, they are back in business.
Is that to say that the laws are weak, or there are a lot of lacunas being taken advantage of?
Maybe I've not told you before. We need to reinvent Nigeria. And by reinventing, I mean every organ that make up the country called Nigeria, both from the individual level, the community, the state, the law, the security, and everyone, we need to be reinvented.
Okay. Well,
so that we can begin to have a new thinking, a new orientation that will give us a new country.
Well, Colonel, you just listened to Mr. Aria talk about the role of security operatives, and that sometimes some of them are compromised. Do you agree with him?
I do agree with him. I do agree with him. So, like we said, there's need for us to really check ourselves. You know,
when you say security operatives are compromised, don't forget that it borders on their morale. Okay, to say that they are compromised. Well, maybe some of them, but to use that global word, I mean, you are in the sector, so you would know what that could do to the morale of the people. So when you say compromise, what exactly are you talking about?
Well, I will refuse to be put on the spot. In every organization, you do have some bad eggs. So there's no proof. Just like the Otumba said, you can't have a situation of, where you will not have security threats. Okay? But the point remains that we must ensure that we put things, to check these threats, okay? And part of it is to ensure that there's good intelligence gathering. And then when red flags are raised, or when red flags are seen, we must, be proactive. We must not wait until things happen before we start, deploying the fire brigade approach, So whether we like it or not, I mean, we have had cases where especially in the northeast flanks now, where soldiers have been tried, for one complicity or the other. So I am not saying all. Of course, that is my constituency, and I stand any day to defend my constituency. But in every organization, in every whether you call it the police, whether the paramilitary, whether the military itself, sometimes you find people. You find fifth columnists there. You find people who are compromised, So there's need to fish them out and deal with them accordingly. And most importantly, again, is the fact that, he talked about, rehabilitation of criminals. I do agree with him. If you are ready, if you have been in the crime, you must be ready to pay the price. It's not a situation whereby you have committed a crime, and then somebody goes in there and, starts trying to defend what is not defendable. And again, that comes to the issue of branding people, calling them miscreants, calling them bandits, calling them herdsmen, and these are people who are committing heinous crimes, killing and maiming people. As far as I'm concerned, these are terrorists, and the same law should apply to all. The same law should apply to them. And that brings me to the issue of, all these cases of people, militants here and there. As far as I'm concerned, for the purpose of security of our nation at this point in time, every militant group must be proscribed, And if anyone raises their heads, if anyone threatens the peace of this nation, they should be dealt with accordingly. That's my take. Thank you.
Prof, if you recall at the beginning, that little clip which we showed, the passenger on that train said that they were on the spot for 4 hours. And there was no information, there was nothing before a locomotive came and towed them away. This also borders on security again, or should I say insecurity. Because anything, okay, the train had come to a halt and they were on the same spot for 4 hours. So they were sitting ducks. Those who blew up the train could have come back and done anything with the entire train. So what do you think, I mean, our passing on of information, our agencies, I mean, how would you assess their performance in regard to things like this?
Yes, when I heard it, I was surprised because I thought after they blew up the rail line, that they came to take them away immediately. I'm just hearing that for the first time now. 4 hours. That means they could have been killed. It's just, I see it as laziness. Sometimes a road is being constructed. Matafabu to Otumba, you get to the junction, you discover that no road. No sign somewhere to say the road is being constructed. So you are stuck. So NRC should have been able to pass information across. Or the security agencies should have been able to come to secure the area. Because from what he said, there was nobody there to secure that. They said they had only just about just one escort or two on board the train. So it's laziness on the part of the government. It's laziness on the part of NRC. For them to keep quiet, no information passed. Sometimes you can be at the airport waiting for, even at the airport, they try a little. They'll tell you due to technical problem. Just tell us that. We know, of course, we know they are lying, but something for the people to hold on. You can't just leave people there. They don't know where they are going for 4 hours. What if those people comes back and raid them? What happens to them? You just lose souls. It's pure laziness. What they would have done immediately was to, even a means flying a chopper down there to assess what is happening, then report back and give the people, okay, we are aware of this, we're on top of it, we are getting the locomotive to come and pick the passenger. But they just kept quiet. They left them there. I've been at the airport once for about 3 hours before the airline told us they are sorry. Sorry about what? After keeping me there for 3 hours? Just to tell me you are sorry later. At least they even said something, but not keeping people for 4 hours. What if they have been attacked again? That's laziness.
If you would advise the Minister of Transport, because you know that the federal government has been very, very passionate about this particular mode of transportation. And it's been replicated all over the country, even as far as the ports. So if you would advise the Minister of Transportation about this matter, because I'm pretty sure that he's very disturbed and concerned.
Of course, he should be.
What would you advise?
Well, like I said, is to beef up security. They should make more allocations for security to secure the lines and to learn how to pass. I sympathize with the Minister of Transportation because now he's taking in a lot of things, doing this rail thing, and you're working with people who don't even understand what you're doing. I sympathize with him a lot. So they should have an information system whereby if something happens, we should be able to report back immediately, even right there on the train. The we have officials there. Wouldn't they have even spoken to the people? Without the driver of the train, if that is what it's called, is an NRC person. He should be able to speak to the people. This is what is happening. We are expecting a backup, or we're expecting this, at least to assure the people that they are safe and isn't is being. So for the minister, they should step up their information system. They should step up their surveillance system. Like he said, nobody can be an expert in security, but you can do something. You should just step it up. Because these things are not, they've happened globally, everywhere. So it's not, Nigeria is not an isolation. So we can learn from what has happened somewhere and what they did to ameliorate, not just doing things the way we are doing it now.
Okay.
To support what you just said, sir, the challenge here is our response to emergency situation.
Exactly.
It's been very weak and it has not improved over the years. I don't see how people will be stranded
for 4 hours
in transit for 4 hours and then nothing will come up. As it is now, whether they like it or not, if they don't have, they should go and buy helicopters and then establish online real-time communication with the operatives. Anywhere they are, you should be able to speak with them. So if that had been possible, I don't think those people will be there for 4 hours. Even if they won't be evacuated immediately.
Let me ask you this as well, especially concerning the responsibility that one can allude to consumers of transport services, because we're trying to look at transport sector security, globally. Just yesterday, on my way back from Abuja, the pilot said, okay, mentioned a specific seat number and said, switch off your phone. And after about 3 to 5 minutes, the fellow said, the pilot said again, well, since this fellow has refused to switch off his phone, we're going to go back to the tarmac. We had been delayed for roughly 6 hours.
6 hours.
Before that time. So we're on aboard already, and it's taken another hour on the aircraft, and this fellow refused to switch off his phone.
Why?
Either he's not aware they're comfortable.
Did he plan to make a call during the flight?
Okay.
Unfortunately, I may not be able to mention those who are involved.
Along with that line,
was the back MD?
Just a second. Along with that, you would also tell us what the attitude of transport service consumers, whether it's air, rail, road, or water, what should our attitude be?
We were leaving Abuja for Lagos, if I remember, and this very top southwest political godfather was using his phone, and continuously they were announcing, please switch off your phone and then fasten your seatbelt. But the man was unfazed, he wasn't bothered. Those of us who were nearby, Yoruba now, we respect people so much. Baba, please, we were pleading until a bank MD got up and snatched the phone from him and said, look, if you want to commit suicide, go to your family, not in this plane.
I like that.
Yes, he did that physically.
Yes.
I wish I can mention the name, but
no,
it was in the media.
The pilot said, if this man doesn't switch off his phone, we're going to return to the tarmac.
He jammed the phone from this man, and then we now had some measure of a peace, and then the plane took off. That should never have happened. We're not talking of illiterates now. We're talking of elites, people who have traveled the world.
This is the Nigerian, do you know who I am?
Yes. But you see, the mentality of, do you know who are you?
Who I am?
That you must now subject all of us to needless danger and possible fatality.
You just reminded me of a joke I read. Someone said, do you know who I am? And the service provider just took a megaphone and said, does anyone have help here? There's this man here who says he doesn't know who he is. And so if you can help him to know who he is.
Now, if you bring it down, if you see Okada passenger, when the rider rides in the crazy version,
he abuses the driver.
The motorist now tries to correct them.
The passenger
will be all over you, calling you names, cursing you, and abusing you. Now, talking about vehicles, well, by the mercies of God, I have not been a regular user of commercial vehicles. But the few times I've had to use commercial vehicles, you see people who are so much in a hurry, I've been encouraging the driver to either take one way or do whatever is possible to beat the traffic, forgetting that his life is also being endangered in case anything happens. Okay? And you see this at every point of our lives. We are a people in a hurry, always in a hurry. That's why I said we need to reinvent this country. People need to be taught how to live again and live like human beings. All the rat race, all the runnings, all the whatever we've been doing, they've not taken us anywhere better than
where we are now.
Yeah.
Correct.
So we should.
Correct. Otumba,
I just want
well,
to
now
add
we need to start winding down.
Okay.
So I need to take your last word on this. Let me start with you, Otumba.
Oh, well, for me, it will be uncharitable not to acknowledge the fact that government, especially at the federal level now, they failed to provide Nigerians with security as required. And to that extent, the ball stops on the president's table. I find it very annoying when the federal government was saying that what we have now is better than what they had in 2015. Must you compare two evils? I will be glad if they can wake up. Yes, they should wake up and know that a lot of us do not have any country to call our own except Nigeria.
Okay.
So we must make it work.
Professor.
Yes, because my constituency now, I will advise the transport constituency, especially it's being headed by the minister, Rotimi Amechi, to step up information and to demand that security should be provided on every facility that people move in. Because that's the only way we can move and reduce this issue of poverty in the country. Thank you.
Colonel?
Well, Alero, Ayo, thank you very much. My last word here is that we must step up our game. The problem we have in terms of insecurity, it is not the lack of ideas or lack of the resources, but it is the complacency of the elites who, in most cases, are comfortable. They are in their comfort zones. They have all the retinue of security around them. So they don't even see what is happening to the common man on the street. I think we need to change our attitude. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Colonel Yomi Dari, retired security expert who joined us via Zoom. And we had two other experts in the studio, well, practitioners. Otumba Oladende Ariyo,
Agree with me.
and Professor Charles Asenime, who's the Dean, School of Transport and Logistics over at LASU. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much for calling.
And just to give you a bit of nostalgia, in closing of this segment, I remember when I was little, when we would travel to the Midwest, we would stop at Akure, park the car, put out mats and actually have a picnic.
Yes.
That was lunch, and then you continued your trip. Try that today.
Your life
Thank you for staying with us. We'll be back with another segment in just a moment.